Thank you all for coming again. My name is Imoy Tinya. It's pronounced Imoy Tinya. Ugiagbe is my last name, and I am a journalist. I'm a visual storyteller, so I tell stories with pictures and images. Before I begin, I want to thank the Big Theater for giving us the space to use, and I also want to thank my production team, the men who came around to make sure that this day goes very well, and also to the speaker for the day as well for taking her time. Very, very busy woman, but she took her time to come here just to share some of the stories about her life and what she's doing in the community. Now, why did I decide to do this? An attempt, which is the question, an attempt to answer the question what we must do as a community to bring an end to the violence or to decrease the violence in Baltimore. As of right now, the death rate is about 270. I was speaking to someone yesterday who told me, he said, that's 270 reasons why men out there would want to hold a gun. And what frightens me the most is that the victims and the people who are committing these crimes are getting younger. And now the women who are to hold the family together are also ending up on the street. So that is what pains my heart. And I hope that today we can begin to figure out a solution to the problem, not so much for us, but for the generation that will come after us. I would like to just talk to you today about Ms. Val Jenkins. I met Ms. Val about 2 years ago, and she has an organization called Hug, Don't Shoot. And basically, it was women on that Saturday morning. It was a sunny day in Baltimore, and women were wearing neon green shirts, just like what she's wearing right now. And they were on the street hugging people and telling them to put down their guns and just hug and hug and hug. And that's what they kept doing throughout that afternoon. And she said, when I interviewed her, she said to me, she said, when you give somebody a hug, they forget about your problems. And we saw that day. We saw all of that take place. According to research, it says that the leading cause of death in the African American community is homicide. So that alone frightens me. And I hope that this discussion today can generate some kind of solution to the problem, or the beginning of a solution to the problem. So Ms. Val, you can come and share with us about this.
August the 5th, 2017, I started an organization called Hug, Don't Shoot. I looked on Facebook and someone in Baltimore got shot. I made a simple statement. We need to start hugging and stop shooting. I asked a simple question. Who want to go out hugging when I get back to Baltimore? Looked on my Facebook page, and 46 people signed up to hug. And I was like, yo, I was playing double. And it was like, come on, let's do it. We came together as a team. My niece decided, let's use bright colors. Let's use bright letters, because we need to be uniform. We can't just go out hugging people. August the 5th, we met out Drew Hill Park at the Reptile House. 46 people signed up, 42 people showed up. That's amazing in itself. Our mission is to bring a sense of peace to every community, one hug at a time. We go to nursing homes, we go to schools, we teach stop bullying. We teach the reason why you shouldn't start bullying. I basically get the same phone calls and text messages as the police department do. I get them same messages and I get frustrated and I want to give up. But the very first time I wanted to give up with Hug, Don't Shoot, a stranger walked up to me and I didn't have nothing on to say Hug, Don't Shoot. And she said, thank you. And I said, you're welcome. And she said, 2 weeks ago, I was at an event and you hugged me. I said, oh, that's nice. And she says, I was about to go home and commit suicide that day. You just never know who might need a hug. Since Hug, Don't Shoot has been birthed, my nephew been murdered. Then another nephew was murdered. Then a niece was murdered. Then another niece got shot in the stomach. Don't think because I'm out here hugging that it ain't happening to me, because I understand. I understand. We need hug dealers. We need you and you and you and you and you and you and you, because I can't do it alone. This is your city. This is your city. So come together and help each other. Give someone a hug. Thank you.
The first question I have here is if there are a lot of organizations out there, if there are community or individuals rather, and organizations that are there to make a difference, right? So we have Hug Don't Shoot, there's Baltimore Ceasefire, there's Yo Baltimore, there's the Mediation Baltimore, there's a whole lot out there. So if we have all of these systems or all of these organizations out there, why is the numbers, meaning the killings, the homicide, why is that going up?
It starts from the home. And we got teenagers with a whole lot of grudges and frustration in the school. It comes from the home structure. You know, if it's not being taught at home from the mother, father, plus the mother have two or three sons, the sons need a positive role model in their lives. Like she said, if not, they go find it in the streets.
Those who are incarcerated, then they come back into the community. The parole and probation stipulations, I believe, need to go a little further than just visiting your PO or probation officer. I believe that part of the stipulations should include young men and those who are coming out of incarceration to attend, to be a part of Hugs, Don't Shoot, and the other organizations that are around to curb, to work in violence prevention. Yes, there are over probably 3,000 churches in Baltimore, probably way past that. But you have to look at the fact that most of the churches do not have full-time ministries. It's only a handful of churches that are full-time. And what I mean by that is a pastor who's on his assignment as someone will go to work. And I think what hinders the faith community for doing more is because they really don't have the people resources to do that. And not only don't they have people resources, but even financially, most of the churches don't have that. So you find so many churches doing the little that they can do, working with their church schools, working with their vacation Bible schools, doing the food giveaways, and that's good. But in terms of turning that church into a vocational center, turning it into another educational institution, that requires an awful lot. And much of the requirement requires people resources. If you really pay attention to the churches, the congregation is dwindling. There's a falling away from everything, folk just not joining. And so again, that pool of resource in terms of people power just does not exist.
I'm very lucky my parents were nags. I'll say nags, and had expectations of me, and they didn't give me choice. I had to go to college, and tough love. I had tough love, and now I'm so thankful for it because it made me the person I am today. And I know a lot of the kids in Baltimore don't have parents who know how to be role models. Maybe they don't have the role models, but they need to have hope. They need to see that there's opportunity for them, and they need to see what they can be.
So it's impossible to talk about this subject without talking about race and without talking about the history of America, without talking about the lack of love within the community, within the Black community. The people within these communities are very oppressed, and because they have to kill each other to survive. There's something missing in that, because as I did share this, I said, so if I live in a home with my younger sister, who's over there, and we get into a serious argument, right? I must hate my sister so much to go into the kitchen and get a knife and kill her, just to be just raw. So something is missing in terms of love, and in terms of going back and going back into the history of America, and then coming forward with it, looking at what it is can we do, how can we infuse love into the society, because I think that's one of the biggest thing that's missing. And if anyone wants to just add on to that.
There's no respect for each other. And I'm talking about African Americans because I don't know any other culture or people that are shooting each other, So we got to call it what it is. African Americans are shooting African Americans. We don't want to sugarcoat it or anything like that, but they're killing each other. So why are they killing each other and they're not killing white people in different communities? So, and it's just respect. You know, if you don't respect each other, you're going to not value them. And if they have a value, then you're not going to hurt them. So you got to see them as valuable, you know, and if you don't see them as valuable, then you treat them as though they're nothing. They are no value. I find that in Baltimore City, when I walk around and see black men, uh, I always smile at them because I want them to know that I value them. I value them. Do I trust them? Yes, I do. And I think the moment we start respecting our people and respecting the people that we are in contact with, we're not going to want to hurt them.
It just goes back to the household as well. I think so. If you're not implementing that you even respect your children as they are children and how they grow, it's going to affect how they see value in themselves as an adult. So I think that if people are growing up not being valued by their parents, at least, like, not at least, but if they're growing up not being valued by their parents, they'll feel like they don't hold value to anyone.
Is historical information that is still being taught to us. And when you know this information, it takes a really long time to get past all the historical knowledge and to really see that value. And I think we're getting there, but it takes a long time. Another thing is talking about the drugs. Maryland has historically for decades been one of the drug capitals of America. This is going back decades and decades. So there's another one where it's like these are teachings of a long period of time where Maryland has been at the forefront of the drug trade in America, whether it was heroin, opioids, everything, and Maryland has been one of the main states in that.
All the ramifications that are associated with drug dealing. And that goes back to the whole point of respect. Do I respect you enough to help you to be your best self? And if I respect you enough for you to be your best self, I'm not going to provide you with anything that will lessen your life.
It's not alcohol. Nobody shooting people over alcohol. They shoot them over drugs. You know, I have never seen anybody say, you know, you took my corner because it's an alcohol, you know, because I'm smoking alcohol. But the moment you take that corner from making money, now it's a problem. So I think we need to respect each other. I think we need to do more for the drug industry than allow it to become a non-existent problem. It is a problem. It's a serious problem. We don't make cocaine in America. This is coming from someplace else. I have no value in it until it gets on my corner, which I don't sell drugs, but I think that's the problem. If we have to look at that as a problem, drugs is a problem and respecting each other.
So I'm going to bring this to a close. I do want to thank you all for coming. I do definitely want to thank Ms. Val. Thank you so much for being here. Thank the big theater for giving us this space. And I'm going to leave something with you. I'm particularly speaking to the younger generation because we hold the future. We are the future. And I really wish a lot of us were here today just to chat about this. I attended a conference about last week, and someone asked the question as to why is there the lack of dignity within a society? For somebody to kill someone is because I don't value you, as Mr. Monroe said, and Mr. Chow said, and Ms. Sandra said, and just as everyone is speaking here today, if I don't value you, then I will raise my hand and kill you because I don't think your life matters. And if I don't value me, then that means I don't value you because it begins with me. For the younger generation, and these are my words to you and for myself as well, when we're raising children, because it begins from the bottom up, right? We're starting from the children. So Brother David said, there are two things that you give a child. There are two things that you give a child. The first thing you give the child is an unconditional love. Value in your children. As you said, get me the remote, right? Can you please hand me the remote? Would be the best way to say to that child is, get me the remote. Or don't you see I'm speaking to you? That kind of tone. But so he said you give your child an unconditional love. Even when you discipline the child, you still bring them closer to your chest and say, I love you. But I just want you to know that what you've done was unacceptable, right? And the second thing is celebrating their uniqueness. celebrating their uniqueness. I didn't grow up with that. I mean, one side of my mom did that, not so much of my father. But that is very, very important. And that's the words I would like to leave you all today. I really want to thank you all for coming. And I hope that this has ignited some kind of change within your hearts. And I will do more of this, and I hope to see you all again. So have a wonderful afternoon and have a good one.